Hello, it's Amy with Just a Little Ink, an independent demonstrator with Stampin' Up, and today I'm hopping on to share my second project from my cards and bags class. I'm actually hosting that in person tomorrow, but I wanted to share that second card today. And so I'm going to go ahead and flip this camera over, kind of share the products I'm using, and then we'll get right at it. So. The products I'm using are the Seaside Wishes bundle, as well as the Simply Said stamp set, which has some really great options for greetings, and then also the So Swirly embossing folder. Seaside Wishes is on the recently released Last Chance products. I am also using in the card one of the dies that's already actually sold out. It was from the Changing Leaves die set, the stamp set, and that's from the project I shared last week. The stamp set is still available from Changing Leaves, but the die set has sold out, and so that's no longer available. But these are the products I'm using. Again, to just kind of refresh you, with every $35 purchase, I will send you the card pack for this class. If you choose to do both, want both projects from each last week, this week, and even next week, then that would require a larger order. And I am going to allow you to place just a $75 order in order to get all three. But that is something you'll have to communicate with me via Messenger or an email. And so I'm going to go ahead and just kind of talk through how we're going to do this. So the projects use basically one full sheet of cardstock to get a card base and the base of the gift bag. And so I'm using a gift bag. I bought a package of them from Amazon. You can buy them lots of different places. At one point in time, Stampin' Up! Had them as well. I'll pull out my ruler just so I can tell you the measurements, but the bag itself is a 5 1/4 inch by 8 1/2, basically, just shy of measurement from the one side. So we'll go ahead and just let's get started. I'm going to kind of move all this stuff out of the way, and we're going to start with the card. And I've already done a lot of these options ahead of time, so we don't have to watch me do them all. Yours will come just like this. It will come in a bag, have everything you need, except for anything that's stamped. I'm not allowed by Stampin' Up! To send products that are, let me see if I'm on here. I'm not live. Well, here we go. We'll get ourselves live. We are recording, so this will have been in the recording, but kind of just talk through it again and kind of get you seeing what I'm going on and doing. Here we go. Thanks for joining me. If you're catching me on Facebook, got that going. Thought we'd had it started and didn't. This is class or bag, well, it's class number 2. It's my episode 2 of my bags and cards class that I am hosting. And this particular one, I started to say, uses Seaside Wishes bundle, also uses the So Swirly embossing folder, and then I'm using a message out of Simply Said. I liked that happy birthday. And so starting to say that the pack you're getting, if you are choosing to do this and want to place an order of $35, I will mail you the project packet with everything except for anything stamped. That is on you. And so I've already gone ahead, and the same would be true for you if you got this in the mail. I've already embossed the card front with So Swirly. So I'm going to go ahead and fold it over. This is just a typical card base, 8 1/2 by 5 1/2. Folded in the middle at 4 1/4. So there's my card base. Then I have Friends of the Ocean Designer Series paper, which is in the retiring list as well. We'll figure all those different parts out. I'm going to take, this is my inside, so I'm just going to set it aside for the moment. I have a piece of lemon lime twist. This is measured at 4 5/8 by 3 1/4. And then I have a piece of designer series paper. We'll figure all the different, it's not lined up correctly here, but I will do that. So what I've got is a piece, I believe that it's 4 1/2. Nope, it's 4 inches by 3 inches. Yes. And then I've cut them in 3-inch strips. And so let's figure out how to line them up. We don't want them to be incorrect. So this one comes here. Got my squid. Are we? Nope. Maybe we're over here. Yep, there we go. So I want to make sure that it's not mangled up when I put it together. So all I'm doing on this is not a new design idea, but it looked really cool with this paper. And currently, when I looked this morning, this could change since this morning, but as of this morning, get my scissors out so I can release that paper. As of this morning, the paper was still available. So I'll pull this up. There we go. Use my Stampin' seal, and it does a good job of sealing. And you want just an even reveal, top, bottom, and side. And then I'm going to stick the other side on. I found that doing the ends first worked the best. Keep on sticking it on things. And so I'm using some of the products out of that suite from Friends of the Ocean. And then I'm using the Seaside Wishes, which has just been it's a hybrid embossing folder, just like last week's class where I used changing leaves. And for those who are joining me on Facebook, I didn't get my live started quite as early. Changing leaves, the hybrid embossing folder and die set did sell out last week with the new release of retiring products. And so all of the things in the last chance category that you'll find in my online store are available only while supplies last. So that had been actually on the retiring list for quite some time, so I was a little surprised it took as long as it did to sell out. So anyway, you're going to leave just an even reveal in between each of these panels. And this is just a great technique to use for lots of different cards. It makes a fast card project. And so then what I want to do is I'm going to stamp from the Seaside Wishes stamp set. Get all these things. I kept them all in the case. It was just easier for me to do so. I'm gonna put this so I don't lose it. Okay. I want the starfish. I want the largest of the starfish stamps. And that's what I'm going to stamp on this piece of basic white. Basic white, a 2 1/4 inch square. And I'm going to grab my D block. I believe this is D, yes. And then I'm going to use some Summer Splash. That's what this card base is. Get out Summer Splash. You have to see my hands for a moment. And if you're into the beach theme, I have a few things that have hit that retiring list. So the last chance category from the annual catalog, because that's where this particular set came from as well. I'll clean the block just a little bit. I also want to grab a greeting. Again, I had mentioned before I hit my lives that the die that cut this out has sold out because that was from Changing Leaves. And so there's some other options you could use to do this. So if you place your $35 order with me and want this mailed to you, I will send you the die, or not the die, the piece already cut out. Get my stamp all kind of lined up there. Okay. And then make sure it's got a good inking. Okay. The card goes together really pretty fast. So I'm going to grab this, and I need the die for this one. So it has coordinating dies. Some of these fit in the embossing folder for that hybrid option. And then just make sure I've got it lined up correctly. There we go. And then I'm going to pull out, thinking this way up, pull out my Post-it note tape, which is a great low tack tape for running through the Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine. So, get that ready here. We'll pull this kind of out of the way a little bit and pull out the mini machine. Got my base plate. I'm going to set it offset a little bit, and then I'll line up my starfish on there and roll it through. A little bit of a wiggle as we go. Right. And that leaves me this fun little starfish. Okay. We don't need anything else there. And we can start assembling. So I'm going to put my greeting down. I'm grab that Stampin' Seal again. Sitting right in front of me. And I'm going to set it onto the left section of my card. I loved the bright, cheery colors in this paper. And I think it just gives a nice kind of layout with everything. And then I need some liquid glue for the starfish. So I'm going to grab my multi-purpose liquid glue. You will find a supply list attached in a link to my online store, so you can purchase all of these things as long as they're available. And then I'm going to set my starfish. I want to kind of make sure I've got it where it's kind of hugging that greeting. There we go. Then I'm going to put this up on dimensionals just to lift it up. I find with the embossing folders it does a better job of gripping. So come across here like so. And I'm curious what your weather is like in your neck of the woods. I live in north central Arizona, and we got a little bit of snow today. It's rained, it's had snow, it's a little windy, it's a little cooler, but I'm told from our weathermen that it's going to be in the 80s this next week. So, you know, short-lived. We'll enjoy it. But curious what your weather's like. I know there's some parts of the country that have had severe weather as well. So, here's the front, and then I've got some of the gems that coordinate, and I will have to make a note about what those are in the description. These are in the, and they may be sold out already. They coordinate with Friends of the Ocean. And so I've got the 3 different ones. I'm going to stick one down here. I'll take the larger, there are 2 different sizes in these. And this is Melon Mambo. Stick one here, and then I'll stick one on the upper. Kind of like groups of 3. I don't know, what do you think? I think I like it over here. So we're going to go like that. Get rid of those scissors. And then the last thing is just to do a greeting on the inside. And that would be, so I'm going to kind of leave mine blank on here. Just let you decide what you'd like that to be. It could be this birthday wishes. but I think I'll wait and put something else in. And I'm going to take this strip of Friends of the Ocean, stick it on the inside. I'll trim off that end because it's just a smidge longer, which is better than short. And then I'll attach that to the inside of my card. And it'll be ready for a special greeting when I go to send it. So line it up. This is just a 4 by 5¼ inch piece. So, and like so. And then, because you're going to have your envelope, it's always a good idea to do something for your envelope. And so I'm going to take the smaller, so there's 2 different starfish. And I'm going to grab, again, that Summer Splash. Grab a little bit of ink on him, stick it here. And yet it looks like he's floating a little bit. And so, don't want him floating. I'm going to grab out some basic beige. And there's a sand, little dots. I'm going to grab some of that, ink it up, and it just does a really nice job of giving it the look of some sand around it. Isn't that cute? I kind of like that. So super simple. That's the fun, fast card. And then we're going to do the coordinating gift bag, which again also will go really pretty fast. And so let me pull out the items that come for the gift bag. Again, that was that 8.5 by 5¼ inch gift bag. And so I've cut my piece of Summer Splash at 5¼ which is just 1/4 inch shy of what it was for our card base. So you kind of see that that makes almost a full sheet of uses almost a full sheet of cardstock. So then I ran it down a little ways. I didn't want to emboss in the folder the whole piece. I could have, because So Swirly, which I do believe is not orderable at the moment, is truly long enough to do the whole front. What I did is I had marked down, I believe this is 2 inches, not quite, 1 and almost 3/4 inches down, so that I had a flat piece to stick some designer series paper. And so let's move the folder out of the way. I don't think I have anything. Oh, I might have something else I do need to stamp. So then I've got a little pack that would come with yours. So open this up. And I've got some of the Summer Splash Designer Series, or excuse me, ribbon. This is the 3/8 inch bordered ribbon, I believe is the name of it. I've already run a piece of basic beige cardstock through that folder. This is a hybrid embossing folder, and so you would put your die set onto it. So the 3 sand dollar get cut out. So then you'd put your paper in here. You'd run it through, without the cover obviously, you'd run it through your Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine, and it'll bring you 3 of these. And so I've only done the 2 larger of them. I've also cut out, and then it's also on adhesive sheet, one of the, I believe these are anemones, and this is out of Melon Mambo. And then I've also done some of the seaweed out of the Lemon Lime Twist. And so then you've got a piece, a little square piece that's going to be for your starfish. So you've got 2 of those that we'll end up doing. Should have done them all together, huh? So you're going to line up this piece of designer series paper. Again, it'll already have been cut if you get the packet, but it's 5 1/4 by 1 1/2. So I'm going to go ahead and attach that, and I'm going to choose to use liquid glue because I want it to adhere well. And so you come a little ways from the edge. You don't want it right at the edge or it will bleed out. So line it up. I loved the starfish. like I've got some rain coming, so hopefully I don't get dropped. If I do, the recording will continue. We tend to get a little rain fade in this part of the country when it rains. So I've got that lined up, and then I'm going to take my ribbon and I want to kind of put just a dot of glue in the center. I don't want to have too much that's going to hold it. So just to line it up, I want to come here. It's going to be just a little longer than the front of my, and then you'd either use your tape runner adhesive, or you could use the liquid glue again. So we're going to just come up, make sure that I've got it on the front nice and even. Looks like a little crooked. So we want a nice looking bag when we give this gift to someone. And then on this little section, it's just a, was this 4 inches? About 4.5 inches. I'm just going to tie it in a knot. Something that's not too thick and bulky. That will make a nice look on the front. So I'm going to kind of just do like so, and then I'm going to grab a mini glue dot on the back of it. So I'm going to grab my mini glue dots. Grab one on the back side, and then I'm going to stick it on this left edge. And then I'm going to grab just a pair of sharp ribbon scissors. You can use fabric scissors that you might have at home. Tighten that up just a little. I want to then come in at an angle. So, like so. And so the front could be nice this way to stick on the front of our gift bag. And it'd be pretty plain, but I wanted to dress it up just a little more. So we're going to put some liquid glue again on this larger of the sand dollars, not a seashell. So a little bit of glue. And then before everything gets dried down, come up, you want it up a little ways from the bottom. Give a nice little press. Then I'm going to come and start layering my seaweed on the front. So I just need a bead of glue kind of to come in between. Come take this middle side. There are 3 different sizes to these. So I'm going to come up this way, and then I'm going to take and grab that smallest of them and go a little more there. So kind of come up in the center, something like that. Press, and then I'm going to grab that middle size. Again, put a bead of glue around, and I'm going to take it where it's offset this way. Like so. And then, because I've already put adhesive sheet on the back, all I need is to grab my take your pick tool and the pokey end. Oops, that's not the one I wanted. I think I've moved it over to the brush. Let me find it. Here it is. I have the poke on the end. Or the end of your scissors would work as well. But I want to just release that cover on the back side of the adhesive sheet. And adhesive sheet works out really well when you've got detail dies and you want to glue it down. It will help keep. There's also many different little pieces on this. So I'm going to come over on the side. Like so. And then we want to stamp that starfish again. So it's probably a good thing I didn't clean it. So I'm going to open up. Look up Mr. Starfish here. Put them on that piece of paper. I've got that piece of basic white. Grab out the die cut one last time. Kind of get it lined up like so. It has a defined way that needs to go on here. So we'll grab my piece of Post-it note tape, which works so well for this. And again, you want to make sure you've got things offset so that it will feed through your mini Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine well. So, like so. And run it through just the one time. Okay. And we'll put that away in a moment. So, like so. And then I'm going to take this and I'm actually going to pop it up with some mini Stampin' Dimensionals. Just get a couple of them on here. They're small enough that I can kind of keep said starfish from jumping off the front. You could snip them as well to make them just a little bit smaller. And like so. Let me get all of those pieces off. There we go, maybe. So then I just want my starfish to kind of float over it all. And then the very last thing, of course, is then to attach this to the front of my bag. You don't want it on this section that has the bottom that'll open up. You want to put adhesive along the back of and put it on the front where it's flat. So I'm going to put a nice bead around 1/4 of an inch. Again, give or take a little. Come up. And then I'm going to put a little more at the top and a little more at the bottom. You could put a whole lot more on here if you wanted. So, liquid glue gives you the ability to adjust as necessary. So I'm going to line it up, kind of pull things down so that it slides on the front of my bag. I want to make sure it's covering all the way to the top. It is, and then it's press. Like so. A bit here and there, and that is the front of my bag. And so then when I open it up, I've got a gift bag that's covered in the front, stores flat, has a coordinating card then that goes with it. So thanks again for joining me. Again, if you have any questions, I'd love to hear what you think of this project. And again, if you'd like to place that order, my name is Amy Taylor, but my Stampin' Up! Website is justalittleink.stampinup.net. And I'll look forward to seeing you again next week for a recorded video because I'm not going to be around for a live. So I look forward to sharing project number 3 for next week. Look forward to seeing you then. Have a great day.